All right, everyone, welcome back. Get ready, because today we're going to be taking a deep dive into a story that's, well, frankly, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, this one's definitely got some layers to it.
For sure. You know, you sent in this article about Johnny Somali, the American live streamer, and
Right.
his trip to South Korea, and let's just say it's not exactly your typical tourist experience.
Not even close.
No, not at all. He's managed to get himself in some hot water over there. It's making headlines for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fascinating case, really. It's like this collision of internet culture and those real world consequences you sometimes forget about.
And what makes it even more interesting is, well, this isn't Somali's first time stirring up trouble, outside the U.S.
Oh, right. He's got that history.
Yeah, he's got convictions in Japan. There were issues in Thailand.
Mm.
So today on the deep dive, we're gonna try to understand not just what happened in South Korea, but also, like, why this keeps happening. Like, what's the pattern here?
I think a good place to start might be with rage baiting.
Okay, rage baby.
Which is, that's the tactic Somali seems to be using. It's basically think of it as like he's trying to get a reaction.
Right now, so he's intentionally trying to provoke people.
Yeah, like a calculated attempt to get people angry or upset.
So he knows it's gonna, like, lead to drama.
Oh, absolutely. He's doing it for the views, for the attention. And then you got to think about the cultural context too.
Right.
Like in South Korea, right? It's a society that's really big on respect,
Gotcha.
especially for elders and for their history, their traditions.
And from the article you sent, it sounds like Somali didn't exactly do his research, like, didn't get the memo on respecting those cultural norms.
No, no, no.
He was, like, allegedly disrupting this convenience store, pouring instant noodles all over the place, getting aggressive with the staff.
Yeah, and that's really just that's the beginning.
Oh, God.
What really got everyone like really riled up was what he did at a statue commemorating comfort women.
Right, right. That was,
Yeah.
now, for those who might not know, can you give us, like, a quick explanation of, what the comfort women issue is?
Sure, yeah. So comfort women is the term for the women and girls who were forced into sexual slavery by the Japanese Imperial Army, back during World War II.
Right.
And a really large number of those women, they were Korean. And these statues, they're memorials, right, to their suffering.
So it's like a really sensitive, painful part of their history.
Extremely. So you can see why him, Somali dancing on this monument, it's not just some random act of disrespect. It's like he was deliberately trying to hurt them.
Pouring salt on the wound, basically.
Exactly. It was deeply offensive. And, well, it triggered this huge wave of anger online.
Yeah, the article mentions this South Korean YouTuber who, like, put a bounty on Somali's location, and then you had all these other creators going after him, trying to, like, hunt him down.
It's crazy how fast it escalated.
It's like he threw a match on a pile of tinder, and social media just, like, fanned the flames.
That's a perfect analogy. And it wasn't just online anger either.
Oh.
He got attacked, actually,
Whoa, like, physically assaulted?
the 3 separate times.
Okay, now that's taking it too far.
Right. And the police are involved now.
Yeah, what's the latest with that?
So they're barring him from leaving the country while they investigate everything.
Wow.
Alleged drug use, obstruction of business.
They're really throwing the book at him, huh?
And even South Korean parliamentary officials are saying they're keeping an eye on things.
So, I mean, it's safe to say this whole thing went way beyond a couple angry comments online.
Oh, yeah, for sure. What started as an online stunt is, now he's got legal trouble. He's facing violence. It's a real mess.
That line between, what you do online and what happens in the real world, it's getting really blurry.
It is. It is.
And it brings up so many questions, like, was the response justified?
Right.
Or is Somali a victim too? Because he was
Yeah.
attacked. But, I mean, if you're going around intentionally provoking people, especially in a culture you clearly don't understand, are you then responsible for what happens?
That's the debate, isn't it?
And this isn't even his first time doing this kind of thing.
Right. The Japan thing, the Thailand thing.
Exactly. So is this just like a one-off incident that's been blown out of proportion? Or is there a larger pattern here of him just completely disregarding how other cultures work?
That's what we need to figure out. What's interesting is that, it doesn't really matter why he's doing it, whether he's just ignorant or he's doing it on purpose. The impact is the same. He's causing real harm to real people.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, we're going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, we'll dig deeper into this whole rage baiting thing, and we'll talk about what this all means, like what are the bigger implications here. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You know, it's almost like he's treating the whole world like it's just his own personal stage.
Right.
And he doesn't seem to care that there are actual, real people with real feelings on the other side of that camera.
Yeah, it's a classic case of what we call the online disinhibition effect.
Online disinhibition.
Basically, people feel less inhibited online, right?
Okay.
So they end up doing things, saying things that they'd never do in person.
So it's like they're hiding behind a mask, thinking their actions don't have the same weight online.
Exactly. But as we've seen with Somali, those actions, they can have real consequences.
And serious ones too.
Oh, absolutely.
This case raises some big questions though,
Yeah.
Like about how Western internet culture clashes with other cultures.
It's true.
Like here in the West, pushing boundaries,
Yeah.
provoking reactions. It's almost seen as entertainment.
Right.
But then you go to a place like South Korea where respect and social harmony are so important.
It's a real clash of values for sure.
And it's like what might be funny or, satirical here can be super offensive somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely.
So are we saying content creators need to be experts on every culture they might offend?
I don't think it's about being an expert on everything, but it's about, it's about having some cultural sensitivity, right?
Okay.
Just taking a minute to think, how might this come across to someone from a different background?
So basically, think before you click.
Exactly. Your words have power, even online.
Which brings us back to this whole rage baiting thing. Where do we draw the line between harmless entertainment and actually provoking people? Provoking them to the point where it spills over into real life.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope.
Because you could argue that people are choosing to watch this content.
Right. That they're part of the outrage cycle.
Right, but isn't it kind of manipulative, though?
Oh, it can be, absolutely.
Like, these creators, they know how to push people's buttons.
They're playing a game, basically, and we're the pawns.
And the stakes of that game just got a lot higher.
They did.
We're not just talking about hurt feelings anymore.
No.
There are real consequences, like assaults, police investigations.
Even the government is getting involved.
It's not just an online thing anymore.
Right. This case really shows that what you do online, it affects the real world.
So how do we navigate this? How do we balance freedom of expression with keeping people safe both online and offline?
Well, I think it's going to take a multifaceted approach. We need to promote media literacy, help people learn how to really evaluate what they're seeing online.
So instead of just passively watching, we need to be more active, more critical.
Exactly, and question motives, think about different perspectives.
And it can't just be on individuals, right?
Right. The platforms have a role to play here too.
The platforms, they give these creators a stage, and their algorithms, they spread this content.
Sure.
So do they need to step up and do more?
It's a tough question.
Yeah,
they want to avoid censorship, but they're also being held responsible for what happens on their platforms.
And this Somali case just proves that it's not just some abstract debate. People are getting hurt.
Yeah, it's having real consequences.
So we need better content moderation policies.
Absolutely. Ways to identify and address harmful behavior before it goes too far.
But then who gets to decide what's harmful, right? What's rage baiting versus satire or whatever?
So exactly. Where do we draw that line?
It's a tough one. But we can't ignore it anymore.
No, we can't.
I mean, look at what's happening.
Right. The consequences are real.
And this isn't just about Johnny Somali.
No.
He's just one example of a much bigger trend.
This is about, the internet changing so fast and our culture trying to catch up.
So what have we learned from all this? What can we take away from this whole Somali situation?
I think the most important thing is to keep talking about it.
Okay.
Shine a light on these issues, explore different perspectives.
Find solutions.
Find solutions, exactly.
Solutions that, promote freedom, but also responsibility.
And solutions that recognize how powerful these platforms are and influencer culture.
Okay, let's take a step back for a second. I mean, we've talked about a lot, cultural clashes, rage baiting, the role of these platforms. But at the end of the day, this is about a guy who seems to get off on provoking people.
Yeah.
And now he's facing the consequences.
He's become this symbol almost of what happens when online and offline collide.
A cautionary tale, maybe?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
And it's a wake-up call for all of us, isn't it? I mean,
Mhm.
maybe we're not all, live streaming our every move to thousands of people,
Right.
but we all use the internet, right? We're all part of this digital space.
Yeah.
And the choices we make online, even the small ones, they can have consequences. Maybe consequences we don't even think about.
That's a really important point, the interconnectedness of it all.
Yeah.
Like, we can't just pretend our online lives are separate from our real lives anymore.
So it's not just about, being careful what we post ourselves,
Yeah.
but it's also about, like, what we choose to watch, what we share.
Right. What are we giving our attention to?
Are we supporting voices that are just trying to, like, stir up trouble?
And on a more personal level, how are we interacting with people online?
Mm-hmm.
Are we being respectful? Or are we hiding behind, anonymity and saying things we wouldn't say to someone's face?
It's easy to get caught up in the moment, like fire off a quick comment without thinking.
Yeah,
But this whole Somali thing, it shows us that words have power, even online.
absolutely. And those words, they can be amplified by algorithms, by online communities.
So something that starts small can really blow up.
Exactly.
So where do we go from here?
Hmm.
What do we do with all this?
Well, I think the first step is realizing that we're not powerless.
Okay.
We have a choice.
So what can we do?
Well, individually, we can start by being more mindful, like we talked about, thinking before we click, considering how our words might affect others,
Mhm.
and choosing to engage with content that's, positive, constructive,
Yeah.
and being willing to call out bad behavior, even if it's from friends or family.
So basically taking responsibility for our own little corner of the internet,
Exactly.
making it a better place.
And then together, we can push for bigger changes.
Like what?
We can demand more from these social media platforms, better content moderation, policies that prioritize users' safety.
Support organizations that are fighting online harassment.
Right, educating people about how to be good digital citizens.
Because this isn't just about Johnny Somali.
No, it's much bigger than that.
It's about what kind of internet we want,
Exactly, one that's free and safe.
a place where everyone can, share their voice without being afraid.
And that's a future worth fighting for, I think.
For sure. Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into this whole Johnny Somali situation. Hopefully you all learned something, but more importantly, I hope you feel, that you can actually do something.
Yeah, you're not just a passive observer.
You have a voice, you have a choice.
The internet is a powerful tool,
It is.
but it's up to us to use it for good.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged.